There's almost nothing that can keep a lake commando from the fish, including the dead of winter. Today, Steve Pennaz and veteran touring bass pro Chad Grigsby plan to beat the winter blues and each other on a rare midwinter icy water smallmouth bite. Do bass really bite when it's 22 degrees? Or will this be a lesson in frustration?
I love fishing new water. The challenge is always the same. Find fish, trigger strikes. Ooh, that's a big fish. But what I really love is beating the other guy. I got a fish. This is Lake Commandos.
For most anglers, winter means cold weather, cold water, and lethargic fish that aren't really worth trying to catch. But for a lake commando, winter is just another challenge to overcome.
I know you're a great stick. You're in the Bassmaster Elite Series, so it's going to be a tough challenge today. So I picked one of the coldest days of the year because I know you don't like cold days.
You're trying to take an advantage of me. I live in Minnesota, but not by choice. It's where my wife's family's from, and I just deal with it. And usually I go south this time of year, but our season hasn't quite started yet, so might as well take me out and freeze me one more time just to try to get a little bit of an advantage on me.
Steve Pennaz and veteran professional bass fisherman Chad Grigsby are set to go head-to-head in one of the most difficult commando missions we've seen. Their task will be to locate and catch river smallmouth in the dead of winter, with water so cold, some of it is ice.
Success.
These kinds of harsh conditions can limit effective presentations, but the commandos always have a plan of attack.
So it's 22 degrees, water temp is about 40 degrees. Obviously these fish aren't going to be really active today, at least I don't think so. And a jerkbait is a perfect choice under these conditions. I got the new cutter, this is a 110 skinny. I'm going to probably bounce between that and the 90 and just see what's happening. I'm throwing it on 12 pound, this is Berkley 100% fluorocarbon trilene. I've got it on a Revo SX reel, 6.4 to 1 retrieve ratio, medium speed. I can slow it down if I need to, but I got the speed if I want it. This is the Venerate rod. It's a 7-foot medium action. I like that softer tip. I like a little bit shorter rod when I'm throwing a jerkbait, and this is a rig that's gonna take the mighty Chad Grigsby down today.
I am actually going to be throwing a newly designed 3.5-inch Berkley power tube. It's just a great all-around bait for smallmouth. Year-round you can catch them on this, and I think they will bite a jerkbait, but I'm going to go with this. I think maybe the bigger ones might bite the tube a little better. I actually throw it on a spinning rod with 10-pound braid, and then I have a leader. This is 8-pound Berkley fluorocarbon leader. I grew up around the Great Lakes, and this is a great smallmouth bait, so we're going to try it here on the river. I'm going to try to take Steve down in Lake Commandos.
My feet are freezing to the floor. Watch out for the ice flows, dude.
That one right there sank the Titanic.
This is not the kind of weather most would consider for a day on the water. Air temp at takeoff is a bone-chilling 22 degrees. Fortunately, the wind is calm, but due to an upstream power plant, surface water temps vary widely.
Look at this, we're up 3 degrees now from that side of the river to this side.
Let's stay on this side.
Yeah, I agree.
They'll start with Grigsby's tube jig pattern, but neither commando expects a fast start because winter bass fishing is often more like a marathon.
Now, Chad's gonna be running a Goby Magic. I'm gonna rig up a couple rods, one with smoke and one with green pumpkin, and we'll just try different colors. And if he gets bit more than me, I'm gonna copy him. If I get bit more than him, I'm gonna hide the tubes. So. First impression's pretty impressive. The river has good depth. We're in about 6-7 feet in the main channel. It runs up into about 3 or 4. Lots of rock, lots of trees. We've had one bite. I don't know if it was a pike or a walleye, but it wasn't a bass. But right now we just, we're struggling in terms of trying to figure something out.
Can the Commandos overcome the ice flows and find some active bass? Only time will tell. Lake Commandos is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Power Pole, shallow water anchor, swift, silent, secure. Abu Garcia, for life. Fraybill, trusted gear since 1938. Berkeley Power Bait, fish bite and won't let go. And by Quebec Outfitters, enter to win your ultimate fishing trip. The Lake Commandos are struggling on an icy water midwinter bass fishing mission and are still on the hunt for their first biter. But Chad Grigsby knows all about overcoming a tough bite. As a 14-year veteran of the FLW Tour, Chad has 15 top 10 finishes, 1 tournament win, and nearly $800,000 in career earnings. And this year, he will also compete in the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Hey, today started off tough. We didn't have a fish for probably 2 hours. I lost a fish early in the day. That was the only bite I think we had in 2, maybe 3 hours.
So we've been at it a couple hours. I think we're gonna switch up here. Steve thinks his pattern's gonna take over. I don't even care right now. I hope he's right. I'd rather catch a bunch of them on a jerkbait, so.
But the bait switch, even one as drastic as the move from a slow plastic to a flashy hard bait, isn't enough to turn any biters. So the Commandos focus on size and speed, downsizing from the Cutter 110 to the Cutter 90 and dropping the anchor to work the smaller baits as slowly as possible.
There you go. Fish? Yep, we got one. Just a little guy. That's all right. Hit him right in the top of the head.
I should point out that the jerk bait is my pattern. You know, the toughest fish to catch is always the first one. The secret was figuring out that we had to anchor, we had to fish the bait a little bit slower, and we had to cast downstream, not upstream or cross current. It had to be downstream or a 45 downstream.
There he is.
Wow.
That's a better one there.
You need a net?
That's a good one there.
Look it out of your way. That's a nice fish.
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
There's a chunk there. That's more what we're looking for. Thank
nice
you.
Fish.
That's a good chunk right there.
Oh,
He's missing
beauty.
an eye. The speed of the bait was really huge today. Throwing upriver and working it down, it was going way too fast. Throwing it cross current, it just wasn't getting the right action. You weren't in those strike zones long enough. He's a chunk though. Look at that belly.
Yeah,
man.
nice beauty.
Yeah. I actually switched hands, so I'll crack it once or twice and then just do it like this. So I'm not doing it as fast, because if we're just talking and going through the motions, I'm working it. I think I'm working it too fast. The 2 bites I've had, it was been with my right hand, and you just crack it maybe once or twice and then just let it sit. Let that current drag it back, and then a couple cracks, maybe take up a little slack. That's how I've had the other, couple bites. So very slow.
Fish.
I thought he was a little better than that.
So did I. But I'm gonna take it because I needed to put one in the boat. But thank you. Little guy on that cutter right there. But I like the fact he's got the front hook, you know that? Boy, I thought that was a better fish than that, but you know what? Doesn't matter if they're half a pound or 5 pounds. They
Fish.
count the same today. You got
Fish.
one too? Oh man, we're gonna turn it on here?
I got you beat. Oh, sorry. Not used to having 2 guys in the back of the boat. We don't usually fish in the back of the boat, do we?
No. There you go.
Well, he gained one on me, and I how many seconds later?
Took it back.
2 seconds later, I took it back. Sorry about your luck, Steve. Little guy, but hey.
I'm just happy I got bit.
When you're fishing for smallmouth, even those little guys fight pretty good.
Especially in this current.
You know how crazy that was? Did you see how when I caught that? I got down, got the net, got your fish, came back and twitched it once, but I didn't even need to twitch it. He already had it.
Is that right?
Yeah, so it was, I don't know, maybe we can just
Maybe
go
we're
like,
fishing
hey,
maybe we're fishing too fast.
Just go like this.
Could be.
It doesn't matter how tough the conditions, a lake commando will figure it out. And with the fish found, it's time for the head-to-head battle to heat up.
That's a good one. Ooh, that's a good one. Nice, big one.
This segment is brought to you by Yeti Coolers. Yeti, built for the wild. After a long struggle to figure out a tough winter bite, Lake Commandos Steve Pennaz and Chad Grigsby have slowed down and downsized enough to start contacting biters.
Oh yeah. Pennaz is taking the lead. Oh, I like that front. He ate front and back.
You got it.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are intimidated by rivers, and they can be a challenge to figure out, but once you figure out the secrets of fish position and current and how the currents affect your bait, river fishing can be a lot of fun and very, very productive. This bait's got these Fusion 19 hooks on them. They're amazing. Not big, but puts me in the lead.
I'm still out here trying to catch the big ones so you can have them little bitty ones all day long. Slow and steady wins the race, boys. So that's the tortoise.
Off camera, he runs to this side of the boat the whole time. Jerk baits are an amazing bait. I mean, these are one of these versatile baits that you can fish them fast, you can fish them slow. I mean, yeah, it's basically a stick bait. The interesting thing about them is you can fish them wrong, however. And one of the keys when you're fishing a jerk bait is make sure that you have a slack line. And when you jerk it, you hear that of that line coming in. And that's really one of the keys to fishing these right, and I like to jerk them down. The cadence can be important, fast, slow, 1, 2, or 3 jerks in a row, and then the pause. Today, the pause is key. Longer the better.
That's a good one.
Ooh, that's a good one. Nice, big one. Net, get the net for you.
Get him in. Oh, got a face full of hooks, I know that.
Get that slouch. Got him. Nice fish.
That's a good one right there.
Nice fish. Look at that. What a chunk, man.
That's a nice one. Hold him right there, I'll take this out.
That's
perfect. That's what we're after right there, boys. I told you, he can have all them little bitty ones out there. I'm gonna catch these. These are the ones I want.
That's a nice fish. I'm going back to fishing.
And that was the key to getting those bigger bites, is the speed of the bait. Actually going up current and then floating back over that boulder or whatever it was by, and I know they just come up there, and the bites aren't hard, it's really gradual, you know, it's just, you barely feel them and your line just gets tight. So the speed of the presentation was key.
I don't know if it's a better fish or not. No, it's not.
Same size.
Same size that we've been getting, but you know what? That pause was like 30 seconds before I got the bite. Number 10.
We're all tied up.
Number 10.
What's that?
What do you mean all tied up?
I'm just seeing if you knew how to count.
What's odd is we pull up to a spot and we'll pick up 1, 2 fish right away, and then smallmouth, if you let a smallmouth go, it seems like it shuts the school down, and that's been happening to us all day. The most we had off of one spot was an eddy area where they would let them go and they'd swim all over the place. But if we're on a break line like we are right now and we get one, it's a catch release only season. Not that we're going to keep them anyway, but a lot of times when I'm fishing bass, smallmouth especially, I like to tank them until we're going to move and then I let them go, depending on the laws, of course. But it's just a good practice, because if you let a smallmouth go or you release a smallmouth, the school scatters.
They're tattletales. As far as the number of fish, after the first 2 hours, I was pleasantly surprised. And a lot of it had to do with the temperature, but I think most of it had to do with the presentation and us really figuring out how to catch them. Because I think we probably could, if we'd ever been here before, we knew we would have known what to do, and just figuring that out. That's what I enjoy about fishing, is figuring out how to catch them. Never fails. I try to take a little lead.
There we go, baby, tied back up.
It actually worked out when we kind of started dialing it in and figuring out how to get them to bite. It became like, oh, I got to hurry up and get back in there, and then he'd get one, and then I'd get one, and it was actually throughout the whole day. It was, I was up, then he was up, then we'd be tied, then he went ahead, and then I caught one instantly later, and it's a great competition. I mean, it was fun to have a friendly competition.
Oh, I actually got one. Yeah, oh, and I lost it. Finally hooked a big fish, and I realized what I was doing wrong. Out in this deeper water, he's been fishing a lot slower than me on this cast. I made a decision not even to reel in, just to let it rip and give it a few jerks, let it wash back. I got my first big bite of all day.
A tight score, a tough bite, and time running out. Neither commando can afford any more missed opportunities in this icy bass battle.
Nice one.
Lake Commandos is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Garmin, fight your fish, not your fish finder. Abu Garcia, for life. Berkeley Trilene, Anglers Trust Berkeley Trilene. Yeti, built for the wild. And by Aquaview, see what's really down there. In a red-hot river smallmouth matchup on an ice-cold midwinter day, Steve Pennaz has a solid lead. But Chad Grigsby may have found the secret to the bigger biters.
Another good one. Seriously? Yeah.
Ooh, get the net.
Get the net, he says.
Really?
Smaller. What is that?
It's a big smallmouth. Not as big as the last one, but pretty good one.
Yeah.
It's not as big as I thought, but it's still a chunker. It's out where the big one should be.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that hook. Right here.
Another hook.
Live bait hook.
You know, today was a big difference between the pattern that I was fishing and the pattern that Chad was fishing. We both had the exact same bait on. It was the 90 cutter, the Berkeley cutter, the new jerk bait. He had a different color than I, but it wasn't a color thing. It was how the bait was working. In deeper water, he was getting bit, and in shallow water, I was getting bit. I was fishing it faster, I was fishing it more aggressive. The fact that I caught 2 pike today and he didn't catch any was kind of an indication that I was fishing it faster. The key though, if you're fishing tournaments and big fish made a difference, he kicked my butt today, and he really had that figured out for the big fish. Nice one. Got it going? Nah, he's a little one. Cool. Is that a good one or not? Is that a good one? Oh, yeah. Oh, beauty. Tired of netting fish.
He's gonna go under the boat now. He doesn't want any part of that net.
Wow. Got it. Here's a
That's
bruiser.
the biggest one of the day.
That's a stud. That is a stud.
A little bit.
There we go. You're king of the deep water today. That's 4.5.
That'll work.
That's beautiful fish.
It's a chunk. I gotta get out there and catch one more to tie it up. The bigger bites actually came working it back to the boat and then letting it drift back and then working it, and not actually reeling that much, but working the bait, and so it looked like a dead minnow floating back. And that's where the bigger fish came. It was out on the deeper water and not actually working the bait all the way back to the boat. All good things must go to an end.
If we were in a tournament, you would have won, but according to Lake Commando rules, jump! The champ is here. Hey, it was a fun day today. It
was great.
You did figure out the big bite, and it was a situation where you were just fishing a lot slower and letting that bait fall back in a slack line. That was the difference between getting small fish and big fish, and you got the big fish today. You had a fish that was pushing 4.5, maybe 5 pounds.
It was fun.
Fun.
I had a great day.
Absolutely
It
fun.
was freezing this morning, fishable this afternoon.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's head out. Hey, if you want to win what works for us, visit lakecommandos.com or check out our Facebook page.
I'm Captain George Mitchell. This is Coastal Chaos. Ah, there he is. What a great fight that was. That's Mr. Jack Crevalle, folks. What a beautiful fish. Something I want to talk to you about. We mentioned it earlier. Look at the placement of his eye. Look at his body, flat but yet narrow. This thing is made out of muscle. It's made out of menace. Eye placement, this is the type of fish that swims around in a school and he's just a marauder. He goes after everything. But yet when you hook him and it gets down to the nitty gritty, he's gonna lay sideways and you can't pull him up. It's like pulling up a sheet of plywood. Hey, now check this out. If you want to make it a lot easier to dehook this guy, simply slide your fingers on down on the outside edges of his gill covers where these black dots are. Pinch lightly and he's gonna go motionless. And pound for pound, there's not a better fighter than a Jack Crevalle. What a great species to go after. Coastal Chaos, tips for serious saltwater anglers.